Women aren't oppressed, and here's why. There's common law marriage, which is literally indoctrinating men to get married against their will, just because he happened to be dating them for a while. There's also the various social media and internet protection forms, which specifically protect women, and the mainstream media supports protection of females and not males. There's various laws and various indoctrinations that support women over men. Example being hate crime, hate speech in Canada. And there's various other laws. As another example, alimony, which is specifically made for a thing for women to screw over men. But originally it wasn't made for that, but it turned out to be that, and they never cared to re-indoctrinate that. Women can commit child murder. Men can't. I can continue on and on with things women can do that men can't. But my general proposal of this video is, tell me what the fuck we men do to oppress you. We don't get incentivized work, do we? Do we get incentivized to higher places through affirmative action? No, we don't. That's a privilege exclusively made for everyone but white men. So, there's that. And do we get called toxically feminine? I mean, do you guys get called toxically feminine? And just another point. I never go into like a room and say, hey man, look, she's femsplaining. She has her legs open too wide. Or she's explaining something, so she's a feminine explainer, right? Because that makes fucking sense. Because men get accused for mansplaining and manspreading. So why don't females? Because females have privilege. And why is it that the majority of the homeless population are males? That must be male privilege, right? Because I got so much money, right? Why is it that the majority of people who are wealthy aren't men? It's white people who were in power before the existence of this whole movement. So, the idea men are oppressors and powerful is so false. Just based off the merits that over 3% of the whole population is actually powerful. There's various statistics to prove this. And it's left-leaning statistics at that. So, the idea men are oppressing you at large is false. You could say the 3% of men are financially oppressing you. You can go say that. That wouldn't be wrong. But the common man who's literally just sitting down eating his fucking Doritos isn't really fucking oppressing you. He's in his room eating his fucking Dorito bag saying, oh man, I really wish I wasn't oppressed like I fucking was. And another fucking thing that people don't want to bring up is abortion. Well, no, that's a bad topic. Can't discuss that. I really don't give a shit. Why is it that women are allowed to fucking child murder, but men aren't? It's like, but men shouldn't murder. That's wrong. I'm like, yeah, it's wrong. But women killing their babies is wrong too. So why shouldn't the man have? Oh yeah, another thing is, women will commit abortions against the man's will, like against the father's will. So do you think that is fair fundamentally? Like any female activist or whatever shit, do you think that is right that a man should have no say if his child is killed or not? I mean, we don't have that right to say you should kill your child, and if you say no, fuck you. We don't have that right. Why shouldn't we have that right? But that's oppressing women, right? Because you can't have that. You have to oppress men. Because that has to be the indoctrinate we have to perpetuate. And another simple factor is that women just need power. They're power hungry, right? And when you say, oh yeah, men are no different, I think it's a more general people thing, but it's very specific with women because they have a lot more means to get power than men do. So, for example, a man could go on a date but benefit none from it. A woman benefits all from a date, and then they say, oh yeah, why are men opting out of dating? Why is there no good men? Maybe you drove them all away. Well, you don't factor that conclusion in, do you? Because it's too hard for people to process, because it's actual intellectual thinking, because that takes effort. You can't do that. That's effort. Feminists can't do effort. That's bad. It's a bad thing, obviously. Another indoctrinate that they don't like to admit they preach, but they do preach. They preach like feminization of men. They want men to be women, and they also preach like the death of actual men. Like there's various posts by actual feminists who want men dead, and they want us to conform to their every will. They want us to adequate our speech and behavior to suit them. So we can't say, hey guys, we can't say whatever the fuck we want to say, because people will get upset. Specifically, women in the XYZ group. But yes, we're oppressed. We're oppressed, right? But no, we oppress you, obviously. Because that makes sense, right? Because ignore every single fact in existence, right? Because we all know how that went. When we oppress people, then we say that oppression doesn't exist. We all know how that went in World War II with the Nazis, right? We all know how that went with the Jews and the Nazis, right? We all know how that went. So let's keep going down that path and see how well it's gonna fucking end. And I've said this many times too. There's various posts even elaborated on this. The parties of America are going at a civil war. Like, actually, the Western nations are at a civil war as we speak. We're at a cultural civil war. If you don't agree with that, then look at, like, versus the right versus the left. There's common places for both sides. And this kind of split ideals of fuck men, let's help the woman in this group, it creates a disparity, and it will create war, and it will create conflict, and it is creating war and conflict. And another thing is, how can you people even preach ideas that men are some sort of maniacal monsters when you guys preach killing us at a mass scale? We never preach killing of nobody, but yes, we're the bad guys for preaching. We're preaching equality, right? Because actual equality is bad. You need superiority. That's what it is. It's superiority under the guise of equality. If you guys were all for equality, why don't you take criticisms from the men's rights activists who actually point out issues with inequalities in the system? But then when you address them, you say, you're a bigot, you're this, you're that. You use shaming language to devalue criticism. And it is disgusting and really immoral. Like, men have actual issues, and you say bigots for bringing up issues. So every time a feminist brings up an issue, just call them a fucking bigot. Because we're all gonna know how that goes. And I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just saying it's really wrong for people to do that. And there's a lot more extremists too that call people Nazis and shit. It's like, do you see yourself? Like, you're disgusting. You're calling a person a fucking Nazi because they disagree with you. That's retarded. And remember when progressivism wasn't oppressive? Remember that? Nah, that was a while ago. It was actually something to scoff at too, because there was actually issues that needed progressivism. Example, like we had white only areas. We had, and then we created, the black people created a revolution, and that stopped that inequality. Right? And what we're doing now is the same for white men. And we're creating female-only spaces. We're creating gay-only spaces. We're creating these safe spaces, if you will, that don't include men. And it's the same thing that they did, and we're doing at a certain point to black men. And we're hitting a point where it's becoming almost slavery for men too. We have various doctrinates that are trying to propose men get taxed for like basic things. And we already have enough taxes as is. But yes, we need more. And I think this will sum up a lot of my issues with the kind of feminist movement. I'm going to post another video that's coinciding with this topic. So, this is the alt-white millennial, Bob74, signing off.